Morning. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your effort of coming to this as presenters, and welcome. I'd have to say really a humble welcome to all of the offices of the Texas representatives, the committees, the senators. This is called the Legislative Educational Seminar, and what we're going to talk about today is the subject of child and family care reform in the state of Texas and its connections to the current legislated Texas Family Code. I'm Dr. O'Connor, your moderator and your host, and I'm a practicing child and adolescent psychiatrist, and have been treating children and adults and families for over 21 years. This has occurred in a variety of settings: inpatient settings, outpatient settings, as well as juvenile justice settings. I've considered an expert in the field of child development and the identification and treatment of adult and child mental health issues and the issue of mental health wellness. I've been blessed to have been trained by some of the prominent experts in our field. Initially, I had the goal of becoming a cardiac surgeon in my youth and started my residency training at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, where it was very, very, very cold. Along the way, I realized my calling was toward the subject of the psychological functioning of people. I changed my path at that time and started my residency training at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. During that time, I was introduced to the issue of juvenile justice, or kids in jail, so to speak. And this occurred when I was working after hours as an after-hours psychiatrist at night in the county jail in Davidson County in Nashville, Tennessee. It was during that time that I became fascinated by the fact that for a series of felonious crimes these kids were either charged or committed, they still reached out for some kind of salvation to change their path, and appeared to still have the capability of being remolded, so to speak. After my residency, I chose to pursue child psychiatry as a subspecialty because of this fascination that I encountered in the Adult Justice Center with the juveniles. It also lent to me the developmental understanding about how early life events affect children and continue to affect them as adults. So I did my child psychiatry training at a place called Western Psychiatric Institute and Clinic in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they had been doing research about juvenile justice and child mental health issues for far longer than many other academic programs. And I was blessed to have been trained by some of the prominent figures in child psychiatry. I finished that program and started working as a medical director of 2 psychiatric facilities, and then pursued an academic-related private practice in the Pittsburgh metropolitan area. I then returned to Texas in the Austin area and continued to practice working with many different health care organizations as well as functions with the state of Texas. As with many people, a personal experience often ignites a general passion concerning a subject area, and that, in this instance, can and does affect so much of our children and society today, in addition to our families. In my own professional practice, it has helped me have a greater awareness of the importance that the parent-child relationship has to a child's welfare and overall well-being and in their future adult functioning. It's a pleasure and honor to bring this seminar to you. The purpose of the seminar is multifaceted. It's to provide information about the present challenges and cautions faced by families when entering the family law litigation system. It will provide information about the painful and destructive conundrum faced by families and children when what is written or legislated is not enforced. It will provide information about the possible outcomes upon families and children in unmarried and divorced situations, and it will provide a report of the support systems available and provided to families dealing with these outcomes. We will also learn about the underlying, well-intended financial system that is attached to the family code legislation and relevant questions regarding the beneficiaries of this system. Then there will be some information from an esteemed scientific expert from Canada in regard to what I label the vaccine of shared parenting and its benefits for children, families, and the legal system. We will provide information in regard to shared parenting, fact versus myth, or fact versus objectionable, leading, conjecture, and narrative. It will provide a feet-on-the-ground perspective, so to speak, by a couple of Texas youth and families who have experienced both sides of the, so to speak, fence, i.e. with and without shared parenting. And to wrap up, an esteemed journalist will bring us knowledge about the obstacle to that vaccine we seek so much for our children and help us realize what many families experience in the course of separation or divorce with the legal system. Namely, it ain't what we originally thought it was going to be.